The cyborg shenanigans continue in another crazy episode of Inuyashiki. Yes, this was another great episode with a fantastic ending. What I really loved about this episode is that last week we got to focus a little bit more on Ichiro and showing how he's becoming a much more competent superhero. And in this episode, we get to see all of the crazy things that Hiro has been doing. And he was already a pretty creepy character before, but we get to learn that he has a weird obsession with his mother in this episode. Not since Norman Bates have I seen a mama's boy this freaking creepy. And this guy's a freaking walking artillery, so that already makes him pretty freaking horrifying. So, that being said, there still are some pretty great moments with Ichiro in this episode. So before we even get to the hero side of things, let's just go ahead and talk about him. So the episode actually opens up not with Ichiro, but with Ando Naoyuki, who is the friend of Hiro, and he is just freaking out because he knows way too much information about the fact that his friend is basically a serial murderer, and he doesn't know if he should go to the police or do something about it, and he tries to do research online, which is completely useless, and then he realizes that all of these miracles are happening in Japan, like people with terminal illnesses are being healed miraculously, and he remembers that, of course, Hiro has the ability to heal wounds, and he can even hear people from extreme distances. So he pretends that he's being attacked and about to be killed, and Ichiro appears. What's funny is that he doesn't appear like Superman. He doesn't fly through the window and explode in with the light exploding behind him, making him look like some sort of weird, crazy Greek, Japanese cyborg god. No, he just sort of, hits the doorbell and asks if everyone's okay if they're being attacked, and Ando meets this old man, sits him down, and basically bluntly says that he knows that he's a cyborg, he knows that he has superpowers, and that his friend has the same abilities, and he's using them for wrong. And this is when he begs Ichiro to stop his friend so that he won't kill anyone else. This scene right here really sucked me in, and I love it because of the dynamic between these two characters, with Ando being this very meek, nerdy, manga-obsessed kid. Like, he's read nothing but manga his entire life, and he's obsessed with the concept of heroes. And he thought that his best friend actually had the potential to be like one of the characters that he reads in manga series, and he ended up turning into a killer, and now he's just been introduced to this guy who is such an upstanding and wonderful human being. In fact, I really love that one line where Ando was actually telling Ichiro that despite the fact that he himself is a cyborg, he's the most human person that he's actually ever seen. It was a powerful moment, but then it immediately just starts getting funny when Ando just starts crying right there on the spot. And that's not the only time he cries in this episode. You want to turn this one into a drinking game every single time Ando cries? Take a freaking drink. It's just ridiculous. So now basically we have this whole little buddy cop situation going on between the nerdy high school kid and the 58-year-old super powerful robot man. It's just weird, and watching them fly through the skies and everything is really funny, and Ando even takes it upon himself to train Ichiro. Basically, he's trying to teach him how to actually use his powers, and there is a small scene where they go to this giant junkyard and they stack up all of this debris, and Ichiro is actually able to activate his big robot blaster arm and just destroys everything and leaves a crater. So he clearly doesn't know how to control his powers yet, and I still love the visual of the attacks in this series. It's not like a big beam blast or a gunshot. It's these massive light tendrils which just sort of explode from the barrel of the gun. It's really unique looking, and I'm sure it's going to lead to some crazy action scenes for the rest of the series. So like I said, the interactions between Ando and Ichiro in this episode are fantastic. There's even a scene where they go to a hospital, which is a very touching scene where Ichiro actually ends up saving this child and he's reunited with his mother, and then freaking Ando starts crying right there on the spot. Really, if it wasn't for the fact that they ruined that these two characters were going to interact with each other in the intro, I would have never actually expected this aspect of the show. I was sort of waiting to see how it was going to happen, but I really enjoyed watching them in this episode. And juxtaposed to all of that is Hiro Shishigami. His story in this episode was really great because we got to learn a little bit more about his family life, which has been very absent from the series. And big shock, the freaking psychotic killer comes from a broken home. There's a scene where he's just suddenly walks into this house and he sees this old man standing there, and then suddenly you realize that, oh, this is his dad and his family that we've never seen before, and they're celebrating a birthday and watching some sort of giant kaiju movie on TV and just having a great time with one another. And it's the first time that we've seen Hiro actually being just like a normal person. And then all of a sudden he just leaves, and you realize that he is actually from a divorced household and he lives with his mother. And he loves his mother to absolute death, to the point where he doesn't even want to consider even hurting or even killing her. It looks like Ando himself was pretty right about him not actually killing people who are very close to him, whether they be family members or just really close friends in general. But it borders on a creepy obsession where now that he realizes that he has crazy robot powers, he can support his mother in the best way possible, because unlike his father and their family, who live in a very nice home, him and his mother live in this crappy little apartment. And he has all of this money now, so he decides that he's going to support his mother. She doesn't have to work anymore. They can move into a big old swanky apartment. We finally got our piece of the pie, if you will. And this moment is really great because you'd almost expect it to be like kind of a happy scene, you know, for his mother. But even his mom kind of realizes that there's something not quite right going on here, but she's still willing to go along for the entire ride. Now, it was at this point of the episode that I'm like, okay, things are going way too good. Why hasn't Hiro killed anyone? And he doesn't really do that in this episode. In fact, after realizing that the real killer has actually been caught, and by the way, that's something they do throughout the episode, is they build up the fact that all of these events that have been going on with him going around to random people's houses and just killing them is catching the attention of the police and the news, and they're talking about it a lot. And he thinks that the killer is caught, and he goes about his normal day, going through school, and he almost seems to have a sense of relief. And he goes home and he makes a declaration that he's no longer going to kill anyone. It's a really great moment for the character, and you can see that he's constantly trying to reclaim his humanity, whether it's that scene right there or the moment where he actually has this dream where he gets a paper cut and he's actually elated over the fact that he is human again. He longs to just be a normal person, but the more he stays in this robot form, the more distant he gets from his actual human self. And watching this unfold on the screen is both incredibly intriguing and kind of horrifying at the same time. So he makes this big declaration, everything looks like it's going to work out, when suddenly there is a knock at the door, and he is immediately surrounded by police. They know who he is, they've seen him, they know what he's actually been doing, and they try to subdue him. And that's the end of the episode right there. What's gonna happen in the next one? Is Hiro going to go quietly? Is he gonna go all freaking kung fu hustle on these guys and destroy them? Is he gonna turn into a giant robotic weapon and just blast them all? What is going to happen? I really cannot wait to see how he's going to take this situation. Like, that is what I'm so freaking excited to see, because I didn't expect it to happen this early on in the series, but really he's not been wasting his time making a name for himself. If you killed that freaking many people, someone's going to start noticing, especially in the day and age where everybody has a phone and there's cameras everywhere. But I don't know what he's going to do at this point and how this is all going to eventually meet up with Inuyashiki's story. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Inuyashiki? Best character of the episode, and only because of her nickname, has to be Pubehead. I love reviewing a show where I get to say Pubehead out loud. There's another character who's introduced in this episode who I don't know if is going to be very important in the grand scheme of things or anything. She seems kind of like just a one-off character to demonstrate like how messed up Hiro's actual personality is. But there's a scene where he's been basically addressed by this young girl who has this like weird poofy hair, and I guess that's why they call her Pubehead. And she basically professes her love to Hiro right there. Like, she just pours her guts out to him, and all he really does is say thanks, and he just walks away, and that's the end of that story. It's really strange. If there's anything we learned from the previous episode, I guess he's more into, you know, not real-life women. He loves his manga girls, especially Nami from One Piece. While I can't blame him, dude, she's not real. That being said, that seems really important because it shows that he's sort of lost every single aspect of what it means to be a human and to desire things, and he's just a living shell it's really strange. And watching all the ups and downs of him going from being like a cold-hearted killer to protecting his mother and wanting to make things better in his life and like turn over a new leaf, and then it's all just been taken away from him. It's really, really crazy to watch. And I just can't wait to see where all of this is going to be headed, especially because now everybody knows who this guy is. I mean, everybody knows that he's going to be the killer. Like, how is he going to get out of this situation? It's crazy. So, yeah, fantastic episode right here. Really great development for the character of Hiro, who is just a roller coaster of wacky emotions. And Ichiro training to be a hero is both charming and really funny, especially with his team up with Ando. And the production value continues to be really solid, especially in the atmosphere department. Oh, and of course, there is the big piece of crucial information that Inuyashiki's daughter, Mari Inuyashiki, is in the same class as freaking Hiro. So it's pretty obvious there's probably going to be some sort of interaction between these characters, and that is also subtly hinted at in the intro when you oddly see his daughter just sort of naked in the intro. I'm not creepy, I promise. It's just hinting at the fact that there's going to be something going on with that character, and it's suddenly going to probably be between those two characters of Ichiro and Hiro, and it's certainly going to add a lot of drama to this story, which is pretty freaking great so far. So I could sing the praises for another couple hours, but I'm not going to waste your time. What I will say is watch this episode. It's great. It is a little slow in some parts, and I was kind of hoping we'd get some more crazy action, but still, for the most part, this was a solid addition to the series. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. If you already did watch the episode, please tell me all of them in the comments section below and what you hope to see from the rest of the series. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay damn down, baby.